Well, I have the pistons all cleaned up. I have the other 3 cylinders pretty well cleaned up. I got to do the base gasket area on this one yet. And then I think I'll have them ready to take to the machine shop, which I hope to do later this week. Oh, that's good enough. I'll finish the rest with sandpaper. Well, here I am. It's Saturday, February 6th. I'm working on finishing cleaning up my Cat 60 cylinders because I want to take them to the machine shop on Monday. This was the number 1 cylinder. This one was good. You can see there's a little minor pitting, but that'll be fine. There's no wear mark to be seen on the top of the cylinder, so that's a good. And like I say, the number 1 cylinder was good, and I cleaned up the piston for the number 1, and these will be going to the machine shop too, because I don't know the specs for what the spec is supposed to be for a piston and cylinder wall clearance. So I'm going to take this one along, and you'll be able to check this one and bore the other ones to match. So you can see this one. This is the one that's good, and other 3 are replacement cylinders that will have to be bored. So like I said, I just want to keep up little clips as my progress to it, what I'm getting done on the 60. Well, here I'm finishing cleaning up the base on one of them. This one I wire brushed the other day. I like finishing them up with sandpaper. It's just a tedious job. Putting the sandpaper on the file really seems to get down into the crack good and clean the surface good too, because there's a slight curve to a file. Get better pressure than just with my fingers. Oh. See, I didn't sandblast the whole cylinders because I don't paint any of my equipment. I try to make it look like it was never taken apart. I don't try to fake anything to make it look unrestored. I just try to make it look the way it was as I found it. Try to keep it looking that way, I should say. I'm all the way around on that rim. I hadn't really thought about it at first, but I think I'm going to get them decked just enough to clean them up. Might as well ensure we get a good head gasket seal, because I'll be reusing head gaskets. Now I'm giving the inside a sanding even though they're going to be bored, just so it's less for him to clean up till I get the boring bar centered. If you look, that looks like the wear mark from the piston ring at the bottom of the bore. Because you can see, if you remember, the pistons have the oil ring toward the bottom. So the piston must come about to there out of the bore on the bottom, which isn't uncommon on engines, because that looks like the wear mark at the bottom of the bore. I could measure it because I know the stroke, but there it shows good. That's got to be the wear mark from the piston ring at the bottom of the bore. So these cylinders had a little bit of wear. The number one net was good, that I don't have to bore, doesn't show any to the eye. And these doesn't make any difference because they're getting bored from 6.5 to 6 3/4. Well, I'm on the last one now. Well, that gasket flange is looking pretty good. Now I'll get the lip here cleaned up all the way around. Well, that all looks pretty good all the way around. Oh, there's a little spot yet. And someone must have dinged the cylinder against something there once. Take down that high spot a little. Oh, that looks good. Well, I have my cylinders and pistons cleaned up, ready to go to the machine shop. I intend on doing that tomorrow. But in the meantime, I am going to, the next step is to clean up the crankcase, and this is the rear main bearing cap. I'm going to start with cleaning that up. I started here a little bit already. Just clean them up good, and then I'll go to the crankcase. Now, if you look at this rear main bearing cap, that's the oil feed hole, and if you see, this end of the cap is quite rusty, and this end has got oil film on it. Well, this cover fits on there like that, so this end of the cap is actually on the outside of the crankcase behind the flywheel, and that's why that's rusty. So, like I say, I'm going to start to clean the main bearing caps up first, and then I'll go to the crankcase. So here you can see where the oil gets fed into the bearing, and this, I want to get this all cleaned off. And this is where an oil slinger on the crank shaft fits in to help the oil from leaking out the main. And I want to carefully scrape this residue off the surface there. It's like dried on grease or varnish or whatever. Now it looks like there isn't, like the bearing mostly ran here. These get shimmed when they get fitted. Brass shims go between the bearing cap and the crankcase. And you have to remember, these bearing caps fit on the top. You'll see that later. They fit from the top down. The crankshaft goes in through the back end of the crankcase, and then these caps fit from the top down. So I'm going to get at cleaning these up. I tried using the solvent and Scotch-Brite pad on this, And that just didn't even seem to touch it. So I'm just going to lightly scrape that residue off. And I got some, we've been having a real cold spell. It's been going on for, it started I think last week, Thursday night. And we've been having, that's looking good there. And we've been having highs in the single digits and lows anywhere from 5 to 10 or 12 below. It's supposed to get down to like 17 below this weekend, and that's all without wind chills. So I'm inside here working on what parts I can on the Cat 60. But today I got these in the mail. New spray nozzles for the injectors for the 271 in the HD5. So once the weather gets up in the 20s, pushing 30 degrees, I'm gonna go back at that because I'd like to get that back together. But now I decide the best way to clean this off here. You can see it's all just got like varnish and dirt on it. Like I said, the bearing, the crank doesn't ride on this hard because this is the top bearing. The cap is actually the top side of the main bearing. You'll see how it all goes together when I get that far. We got a brass bristle brush. Let's see if we can. All right, that seems to be. Well, you get the idea. I'm not going to bore you too much with me cleaning these up, because you get the idea. That looks pretty good. You get the general idea. I'll do the final cleaning just before assembly, and but I want to clean them up enough just to look everything over. So when it comes to assembly, I'll clean them off then and put them in their place. That's pretty much how I'll go as I reassemble this. I'll clean through this oil galley here real good. So, thanks again for watching. This video didn't include a lot, but I just want to do short little videos of the progress I'm making. And thanks again for watching, and I hope you're enjoying seeing the progress.